Hey everybody, it's Christopher. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm doing a 6-month review of my latest guitar, Schecter PT Pro. Let's go. All right, so we're going to get into the Schecter PT Pro guitar. I'll start off with explaining a bit about specs and maybe why I chose this guitar. And then we'll go into some tones, which will be pretty plain. I'm not going to be doing anything amazing playing wise, but just give you an idea what some of the tones sound like on the guitar. And then we'll wrap up with some of my thoughts, subjective thoughts, review, just opinions after having used this for about 9 months now. So first of all, the guitar. Schecter PT Pro is a variant or a new version of a model. Okay, so first of all, the guitar. So this is Schecter PT Pro, which is a new variant of the Schecter PT model that they've had since the 80s. And when I was starting to look for a new guitar last year, I was wanting a guitar that was a step up in quality and professionalism than other guitars I have. But I also wanted it to be a simple and a really solid foundational guitar, something I could kind of use for anything and not have too many fancy features or whatever. I just wanted a good, solid, no frills, do everything guitar for me. And after doing a lot of looking around and so on, it seemed like a Fender Telecaster was where I was pointing to, some version of a Tele, and which I've never owned before. There's many different models and flavors of Teles, even from Fender itself. There's all kinds of different levels of Telecasters and stuff. And for a while, it looked like I was gonna probably get myself something like a Fender player. But somewhere along the line, I discovered the Schecter PT, which is a Telecaster model that Schecter put together for Pete Townsend of The Who back in the early 80s, when he was still playing in The Who. And Schecter at the time was mostly a custom parts shop for guitars, but they had all the parts for a guitar. And so what they ended up doing is building a more modern version of a Telecaster for Pete. And that's what he used at the time. And they call it the PT in honor of Pete Townsend. And they continued producing that model all the way up through to now. You can purchase one new today even, and I was going to go and get one of those. And then right around the time I was looking at that, Schecter announced this model, the PT Pro. And I read a couple of early reviews and watched a couple of the videos, people going and doing demos of the guitar. And then my decision was basically between regular PT and fancy PT, and I ended up picking the fancy one. What are some of the differences? So regular PT is black. It has this nice classic look to it. It has a double binding, and it's black, and it has a regular maple neck. So it's like a classy looking rock and roll guitar. Whereas with this PT Pro, obviously a lot more flashy in terms of its finish. We're dealing with a translucent blue on a maple quilt top and with a burst. So kind of the opposite of an understated black, classy guitar. And I really like the finish on this. It was, when it came down to choosing between the two, I was like, yeah, I want the fancy blue looking one. So that's what I went with. But there are a number of other differences between the two as well. The pickups, for example, these pickups that are in this model slightly different than the ones that are in the regular PT. These ones are called the Schecter USA Z Plus pickups, or as we say in Canada, Z Plus. But these are Alnico humbuckers compared to in the regular PT Pro. They're humbuckers, but they're called, let me look it up here, Super Rocks, and they're ceramic. And there's a difference in the output that they generate. So on these ones, for example, the output level on the bridge humbucker is 14.5 K and 10 K on the neck. And on the regular PT, these would be 10 on the bridge and 8.4 on the neck. So these are slightly more, higher output, even though they're still classified as medium output humbuckers. So even though they kind of look menacing, they're not like really high output metal humbuckers. They're mediums, which is great for me because I am not a metal player, and so I wouldn't want those. These are perfect for me. So, but that's one area where there's an upgrade from the regular PT model to this one, is that the pickups are different. The bridge has these stainless steel saddles. The strings are pulled through the body like a regular Telecaster. And the pickups are also splittable. So you pull this knob and it deactivates one row of the bar magnets on each of these to turn them into single coils instead of humbuckers. And even though as singles, it just doesn't magically transform the guitar into sounding exactly like a Fender Tele with a single coil, because obviously there's some manufacturing differences in the placement and stuff, but it does give you this whole other set of tones that you can get from the guitar, and it's useful and it's kind of handy to have it right there. So again, that was another thing I was looking for in this guitar, was the fact that built into it, it had these splittable coils, so I could treat it as a single coil guitar or a humbucking guitar. And I was really, something that I was looking for in this model. The switch is just a simple three-way, neck, bridge, both kind of switch. The neck, the scale length is the same as a regular Fender Telecaster. The radius is not. This is a 14-inch radius or something. It's really flat. It's a super flat radius. Same all the way through. And it's a thin C neck. So probably thinner than your typical or Fender, Strat or Tele kind of neck. Love this neck. Spoiler alert. And it's made out of roasted maple, both the fingerboard and the neck. So that's another difference between this and the regular PT model, which has a regular maple neck, and this one's roasted. Up at the top, we've got Schecter locking tuners. I've never had locking tuners before, so this is new for me and pretty nice. The rest of the neck, or the headstock, we've got, it's 6 in a row, 6 in line, just like a Tele actually. And a couple of string trees here to pull the tension down on the strings, and a Graphtec nut, which works fine. It's a nut that works. And the dot markers along the side here glow in the dark for when you're on stage and it's inside and it's dark, you can still see where your fret marks are. I've had no shows indoors in COVID, so have not tried these out yet, but they're there for when I do. And that kind of wraps up, all the finer parts of the guitar. It's a bolt-on neck. There's 4 bolts back here for that. And weight-wise, I would say it's average. It's a bit heavier than what I'm used to, just because of the other guitars that I do have. But I think for a Tele, it's pretty standard. It's a alder body. And so weight-wise, I think it's like 7.5 or 8 pounds, give or take. So that's the guitar. That's a bit of the reason why I was looking for, a T-style guitar, and how I found my way to this one. And in the end, I ended up picking it because I'm spending the money on a guitar, a new guitar, the extra bit that I paid to get the premium version of this, seemed worth it to me between the finish and the upgraded neck and the upgraded pickups, and splittable coils, locking tuners. Like, it seemed like it was, to me, it was kind of a no-brainer. It's like, of course, I'll pick the pro version. And yeah, that's the guitar. Let's move on to some tones. All right, so let's hear what this sounds like. I'm not going to do anything super fancy because this is about the guitar and not about my playing ability. But I noticed in the comments, some of you are commenting that it would be nice to hear some of the tones of it, but from the point of view of someone who's more of a singer-songwriter or indie rocker rather than, a metal player. There are some really good examples on YouTube of people playing this exact guitar but have more of that background. So if you want to hear what it sounds like, cranked through a rectifier and like ga 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 ga, you can find that. But for this, I'm just going to play this through a plain old orange transistor or solid state amp, mic'd up through a PV dynamic microphone, going straight into digital audio workstation. So essentially just recording it with one direct mic going into my recording software. I'll run through some tones. I'll say what they are as I'm going through. I think at the end, I'll just try it with a few pedals too, so you can get a flavor for what that's like too. But otherwise, there's no processing at all on any of this. It's just direct out of the app. All right, so for some tones, again, they're just coming out of the guitar into my orange solid state amp, clean channel, being mic'd up by a PV dynamic microphone, going straight into the recorder. So this is the neck humbucking pickup. Same thing, bridge. Definitely tell, bridge is brighter and a bit sparkier. Neck is smoother, more mellow, especially higher up. So this is neck. And then both. Let's split them. These are single coil. This is the neck. actually I'm just going to run through a few tones, stomping on a few stomp boxes here, and just totally subjective, but just to give you an idea of what this thing sounds like in a real world situation where you're actually going to be putting some, you know, effects on it. So let's hear what that sounds like. I'll put it in regular humbucker mode, and this is on the bridge to start. Single, bridge, and neck. Humbucker, and we'll flip from tube screamer to a rat. Switch from a tube screamer to a rat. This is humbucker in the neck. To switch from tube screamer to a rat, and on the neck. And bridge. What about some modulation or ambient sounds? Let's try my Albi. This is neck. Bridge. And single. So there you have it. Some thoughts on the Schecter PT Pro and how I've enjoyed it over the last few months. And do you have one of these? Do you have something similar? Do you have any more questions about it? Leave them in the comments below. I'm still learning myself, and I would love to hear your advice and your thoughts on other models you own or have tried, and also if there's any other questions that I could try to answer for you. And just let me know. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. See ya.